Hello, my name is Fraser Levick, and my topic for the Global Politics HL Culture and Identity is comparing and contrasting the importance of statehood and sovereignty using the Rohingya people and Mokhan people as a case study. This relates to culture and identity because I'm looking at whether or not is it important for a group of people, arguably a nation or an ethnic nations such as the Mokhan people or Rohingya people, to claim statehood or to be related to a state, to be part of a nation state. First of all, I will be explaining the Mokhan people and Rohingya people to give a little context to my topic, and then I will delve into whether or not the effects of statelessness using the Mokhan and Rohingya people. The reason why I've chosen the Rohingya people and the Mokhan people as a case study is because they are at separate ends of the spectrum. So the Rohingya people are stateless, yet very limited in their rights, and the Mokhan people are also stateless, yet are not very limited in what they can do. So first of all, the Mokhan people are Austronesian nomadic people who moved from China to Thailand. They moved from China to roughly 800 islands off of the coast of Burma and Thailand, roughly 4,000 years ago. So 10 years ago, their population was at 2,500, yet now they're only at 1,000 because more Mokhan people are being forced to come to land in order to have a better lifestyle, job, education, etc. They are currently endangered because their food supply is being diminished due to commercial fishing. Basically, the Mokhan lifestyle is they live on a boat for the whole year, and they eat shellfish, whatever they can find. They are renowned expert divers, and they can dive up to depths of 30 to 40 meters, holding their breath without any oxygen tanks. So, as the Mokhans say that they are a nomadic people, so basically they follow where the food goes. They do not claim citizenship to any country. So they are, as I said before, a one nation, a very small ethnic nation of people. They have been asked by the Burmese and Thai government to be citizens of their government because they are a very good tourist attraction. Basically, they are a money pot for these two nation states. Now, they are... so now going back to the Rohingya people. The Rohingya people is a Muslim population who still live in the Rakhine state of Burma or Myanmar. They are not citizens of Burma, and the reason why they are not is because there was a coup d'etat in 1982 where General Ne Win kind of formed a military dictatorship. And there was a law passed in 1982 where where the Rohingya Muslims were no longer citizens of Burma. Historically, the Rohingya people have been there since the 8th century. The Burmese government has showed very little support for the Rohingya people due to the ethnic differences between the Rohingya people and the traditional Burmese people. The Rohingya are darker skinned, and they are Muslim, and the majority of the Burmese population are lighter skinned and are Buddhists. According to the UN, the Rohingya people are one of the most persecuted minorities in the world, and they have suffered over the years from sectarian violence. Specifically, they have suffered from violence caused by the Burmese Buddhist population. A huge conflict kicked off in June of 2012, where there was a string of attacks on the Rohingya people by the Burmese Buddhists, where they started attacking Rohingya settlements. People were chopped to death, they were burnt to death, many injured, and a lot of the reports state that the Burmese police turned a blind eye to this humanitarian atrocities committed. This has caused 140,000 Rohingya people to become internally displaced in Burma, and the Burmese government have collected them in camps, in refugee camps, where they are allowed to stay. They cannot travel anywhere without passports, and since they are no longer citizens, it means they are confined to the camp. They cannot go outside the camp, they cannot leave. The camps have terrible conditions. Many people die from malnutrition and common diseases such as cholera that are spread throughout the camps. The Burmese authorities have stopped aid from coming into the camps on multiple occasions. So basically the Rohingya people are very persecuted by the Burmese government. Now the importance of belonging to a state is that the nation state gives the individual citizens rights. So basically they provide you with protection, rights and freedoms. Now stateless people, the only rights they are afforded is the rights of the Human Rights Declaration. So my aim now is to compare how the Mokhan people live with the rights they are granted by the Human Declaration of Independence, and how the Rohingya people live with the rights granted to them by the Human Rights Declaration. So basically, I chose 6 rights that I think pertained mostly to this topic. The first right is the right to be protected. The Rohingya people definitely have not been granted this right, or they have been seriously lacking this right, because they have been attacked by Burmese Buddhists on multiple occasions. And as I said before, the Burmese police did turn a blind eye to these altercations between the two ethnic groups. Whereas the Mokhan people are protected by the Burmese government and the Thailand government because they are part of the culture of the Austronesian culture. Moving on, comparing the right of everyone is free and equal. The Rohingya people in the eyes of the Burmese government are definitely not on the equal status as the rest of the citizens of Burma. Basically because the Rohingya people have been given the status of refugees by the Burmese government. Now comparing this to the Mokhan people have the right to claim citizenship from the Thailand and Burmese government, because the Burmese government and Thailand government have said so. If any Mokhan wants to come to land, they will be granted citizenship. The freedom of movement, as I said before, the Rohingya people are constricted to the camps. They are not allowed to stay. They have no freedom of movement. The only way they would be able to leave the camps is if they paid bribes to the border police. Whereas the Mokhan people, they also have restrictions on their movement. However, they are largely undisturbed because that is their culture. They move around, they follow the food. The only places where they are restricted are in certain national parks along the Burmese and Thailand coasts. So, comparing the right to an education, the Rohingya people have not been granted education in these refugee camps, whereas the Mokhan people can choose to have education if they claim citizenship and come to land and pay for it themselves. Right to a nationality, the Mokhan people have been granted the right to a nationality either from the Burmese or Thailand government, as I stated before. The Rohingya people have been refused the right to nationality by the 1982 law. With the right to asylum, the Rohingya are not allowed to leave even though they are being treated so poor in their own country, and the Mokhan people have inherit the rights of whichever country they choose to claim citizenship to. My overall opinion is the treatment and livelihoods of stateless people is determined by the dependency of the people on a nation state. Basically, the Mokhan people have a sustainable lifestyle independent of any nation state, because they live in the sea. They get their food from the sea, their medicine from the sea. Whereas in the case of the Rohingya people, they are completely dependent on the Burmese government for land and a place to live. Thank you.